welcome live to Radio Row in San Francisco with the Irish on the Bell show. Just when you think we're running out of energy on this Tuesday, Matt Sims comes running across the city and goes, Irish on the Bell show! Starts feeling the ball because he seems on. He's really pumped for this week. Matt Sims of Sims Complete, thank you so much for joining us on the Irish on the Bell show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I brought the juice. I couldn't find you guys. You know, it's a maze of just all the personalities that are here. And then, of course, as you said, hey, just follow the green. There it is. So I found you finally.
I feel like we should be trying to put up as like the full Notre Dame mascot or something like that, just to make it as tall as possible, so everyone knows, hey, we're the Irish guys here.
Yeah, that's right.
Find the four-leaf clover or something like that.
I'm glad the four-leaf clover is good. Not too much Notre Dame. You know, don't want to be directly connected with them.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, so we just think that's always our team because they come over to Dublin every now and again.
Right,
but of course, there are other college teams to choose from. How you been? Man? You seem to be instead of running around. I saw you were on with your brother earlier on, I believe. So
so my brother, who is Chris Sims, right? Sims Unbuttoned, part of PFT there with Mike Florio. You know, he's the best in the game right now at what he does, and telling everybody the breakdowns of what's happening in the NFL and the inside scoops, and having the experience too to go into it into great detail. So yeah, just happy to hang out with him.
I don't know. You're not so bad yourself. Your quarterback breakdowns are pretty interesting. We're going to get into some things that you guys talk about in Sims Complete. But I want to start out with some breaking news. Well, it's sort of breaking news coming out of New York today. That Matt Nagy is coming in as the offensive coordinator of the New York Giants. It's been interesting you're taking this because I was in Kansas City earlier on this year at a time when a lot of people in Kansas were like, are we kind of going to stick with Nags here? Is really the system that's working for us right now? Of course, they ended up moving on at the end of the season, but Harbaugh has decided that he is the solution now to move Jackson Dart forward. What is your initial reaction to this? Is this something you think it works?
Yeah, so I was actually working with SiriusXM NFL Radio when the news broke this morning. And yeah, my first reaction is, hey, we checked that box. I can't say that I was like overly excited about it. It definitely was not a name that I was thinking like was on the top of my list personally. I was more interested in them going more of like a Cliff Kingsbury route.
Okay.
My brother did mention though, as we were discussing it, he goes, you know, Matt Nagy, you kind of know that he's a program guy. He's going to work well with Harbaugh. He goes, I don't think you really have to be concerned about him being a head coach a year or two from now. Like he's going to kind of rebuild a little bit of his own image, I think, in New York, right? Separating from that Andy Reid tree.
Yeah.
So that's important. But yeah, as far as like the creativity in the offense, like I thought it was a little stale in Kansas City, and curious to see, you know, what he can bring to New York. And of course, with Jackson Dart, and hopefully the biggest thing really is just stability, consistency, and sharing some of his experience from Andy Reid, from Patrick Mahomes and his career with Jackson Dart and Coach Harbaugh.
I think just going back to what you were saying about this fact that it did feel a little bit stale in Kansas City. I mean, sometimes when things go stale, it may be just a relationship that needs to change, and there's not necessarily something wrong with one person in that relationship.
Absolutely.
So maybe that's what New York is looking at in terms of the actual scheme he brings in. And of course, let's not forget, he is a Super Bowl winning coordinator.
I mean, listen, he's got great experience. I mean, it's not like he knows what he's doing, right? And I guess for me, it's just, you know, the high of course, Coach Harbaugh being announced as our head coach was like, yes. And of course, I don't know if we could ever reach that same sensation.
I'm glad you said that because we have a lot of Giants fans who follow our show. We have a lot of Giants fans, full stop, right?
Oh yeah, I feel like the Irish community has always loved the New York Giants, especially in New York and New Jersey.
So the 7 of us on the team here, 3 of them are Giants fans, and even then, so we do like surveys and try to see like where our fans are, and like the amount of New York Giants fans who come in there. So it's funny, like this is their reaction. I mean, when Harbaugh was announced, it was the 4th of July, Christmas, St. Patrick's Day, all in one, right?
Yeah,
and they come with this news, and there's a lot more mixed concerns. But I think what you're saying there might be just interesting, sort of what they're trying to dig in New York, and that's saying, hey, just because things in Kansas City kind of just went the end of the road here, there's still a program guy to deal with. And I think that's a good point you make. I mean, we look in LA how the fact that they're constantly losing coordinators. In Detroit, they lost 2 coordinators this year that really affect the program that they are building.
Right.
The fact that Nagy come in with experience, but he's not necessarily a threat to be a head coach somewhere else next year, might be the right kind of balance that they need, because a cultural reset is really what they need in New York right now.
It definitely is. And I think that's like, when my brother said that, I was like, you know what, that does make sense. Like, you don't want Cliff Kingsbury to be there a year and to have to worry about filling that vacancy again after 1 year if it's a successful year. But there's great pieces in New York. Matt Nagy, like you said, Super Bowl champion, proven coach, had a good run there in Chicago before it kind of fell apart too. So yeah, it's me, I guess, of course, just like the hype of Harbaugh and all of that. Yeah, it can never reach that same pinnacle, but he's a hell of a coach. You know, we're happy to have him. And man, he's a New York Giant. To go from a Kansas City Chief now to being a New York Giant to being a part of the Chicago Bears. This guy has definitely been around some awesome franchises, and we're damn proud to have him, and can't wait for the season, man. Can't come fast enough, honestly.
It's amazing. There's so much experience in all these blue chip NFL franchises.
Yeah.
You can imagine the books he'll be able to write when he comes out of his career.
No doubt. Or not write. I don't know. Yeah. Depending on, the stories, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's always good stories you can't write. I mean, there has to be plenty even from your days playing in college. Is there anything, but before we get back onto the Giants, you just seem to be such a great sort of high energy guy, always sort of bringing it in. Is there anything in particular that when you tell this story about your time playing, or even things that you're doing in the backyard with your family, people will be like, "Oh my God, this this Sims guy, he's kind of nuts. He's too high energy for us."
Man, first of all, I've been so fortunate and blessed to be a part of so many phenomenal football families. My family, of course, that extended football family. And, and I love saying that too, because I do have a family that's my flesh and blood, right? But I also do have my football family, and they might as well be flesh and blood too, with how I feel about them. And even too, just being a coach as well, right? I run Sims Complete, which is a coaching business essentially, where I coach people from youth all the way through the pros. A lot of my students right now are eager to get back to work, because I can't quite separate my media brain from my coaching brain sometimes. But, so I got some eager young athletes ready to get back to work in New Jersey and New York area, which is awesome. But yeah, so many stories that are just super impactful, super, super powerful, right?
Yeah.
And really, it's more so than just the game on the field. The game is the bonus. And man, it's hard to encapsulate just how much meaning it is. And for me, I left the game, or the game left me, so to speak, right? Every athlete, right? Our first death is not playing the sport that we love, right? Then real death.
It's that line from Moneyball. Everyone gets told they can't play the child's game anymore. It's that kind of thing, one day we're all told. So that's kind of how you felt.
It exactly is. And that's why Moneyball to me is like a movie that really resonates deeply within my heart, because all of those themes make sense. And what's funny too, as I look over here, there's Mark Kerr, right? The man that the Smashing Machine was made after, right? The documentary, and then of course the movie with The Rock. And I was speaking to him earlier today, and he was just absolutely phenomenal with that same sentiment of just how sport is so much more than just what actually does take place, between the lines or within a ring or in a cage and all that. And the impact that it has on individuals. I mean, look at us, all of us here. I mean, you guys from Ireland, right? This game, right? I mean, it just shows the power of sports and how it can bring people together from so many different backgrounds. Is just so impressive.
Perfect. You were saying there earlier about how you find it difficult to separate your coaching brain from your media brain, right? I want to try to keep it together for one little question here.
There you go. I apologize. You see, I'm all over the place. No. Okay.
So, let's say you're coaching Jackson Dart. You do a lot of quarterback coaching. It's something you've become really successful at, like you're saying, from youth up to the pros. It's something that you got a really good eye for. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Jackson Dart, I think there's been a lot of conversation about the fact that there's a lot of potential there, but he gets himself into a lot of situations. He's not ducking properly. Again, we played against the Patriots on Monday Night Football. There was a really hard hit to the head, and there's a whole debate about whether that's Jackson Dart's fault for not protecting himself or the defender, all this kind of thing.
Right.
What are you saying to Jackson Dart now? He's going to his second year, for him to make that step, not only to improve his potential, but also to keep himself safer from getting all these head injuries.
And it's interesting too, right? Because Matt Nagy, right, after last year with Patrick Mahomes didn't shy away from contact either.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, he was pretty physical this year with how he was kind of imposing his will, right, onto others, especially when he scrambled. It's difficult as a coach because I don't want to limit that fire that you have. I don't want to limit your playmaking ability and your fearlessness.
Yeah.
At the same time, though, you're only as good as your availability. And I need you out there. So that's going to be a fine line that I think Matt Nagy will have to kind of find, and really just have like a one-to-one conversation like we're having now of just like, I love it. Keep being aggressive. Keep playing and winning and playing like your hair is on fire. But also remember, though, too, that you're only as good for us as if you line up for that next snap.
Yeah.
Right? It's great that you made that conversion on third down, but we need you on first down to win the game for us when the game is on the line. So it's difficult, of course, as he gets more comfortable with the NFL game and the style, I think he'll learn how to better protect himself. The other thing, of course, too, is that kind of as you learn the game, your style of play will change a little bit too. For a young quarterback and a rookie, he's out there and he's like, just got to make plays. Just got to go, 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 go. Now, like, hey, situational football, right? Being a little bit more aware of like, hey, it's second down. We got this pass play. We just need a completion here. We don't need the play. We just need a play, right? Yeah. So the thing for most quarterbacks and what I teach a lot of my young QBs is you can't go broke taking a profit, right? If there's a completion there, even if it's 3 yards, take the completion, move on, keep stacking and building, and ultimately set yourself up to win the football game at the end. And of course, hey, him protecting himself is a big part of that.
Perfect. If you're just joining us, I'm with Matt Sims of Sims Complete. We're talking quarterbacks here ahead of Super Bowl 60. So let's talk quarterbacks. Let's start with Sam Darnold.
Let's do it.
Somebody who has been spoken about in a way that everyone's talking about the fact that has this great comeback story, goes from seeing ghosts when he's playing with the Jets. This is out the second year where he's had 14 win careers. The only other quarterback to have 2 back-to-back 14 win seasons, of course, Tom Brady. Now, Sam Darnold did it in the 17-game era, not the 16-game era.
Oh, you have to throw that in there. So that's unbelievable. Unbelievable. That was petty. All right.
I didn't mean that as like a slight on Sam Darnold, but I just know there's some anorak in the library that's just been knocking him, been like,
no, I
know the difference in the stats.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing in the change of his game over the course of this season? A lot of people are really pointing out the fact that, hey, he does a lot of turnovers. He had 20 turnovers over the course of the regular season. But he has been clean in the postseason. And in comparison to last year when the pressure was on at the sort of business end of the season for the Vikings in that last game of the regular season against the Lions and against the Rams in the playoffs, it's been clean. He's had to fight back through injury before that game against San Francisco. He got into a shootout He got into a shootout with Matt Stafford, who is probably going to be voted the MVP this week. And came out on the right side of things. What have you seen from Sam Darnold this year that has made him into a Super Bowl quarterback?
For quarterback especially, more so than probably any other position in sport, you really are. It depends on just the overall group, right, around you, right? And it really does start with coaching. It starts with coaching in the environment. I've been in multiple locker rooms and meeting rooms where, I thought that the coaching was good. I got introduced to another environment where the coaching was just that much better. And it really was unbelievable, the amount of detail and the change. And I think for Sam Darnold, he wouldn't say this, but to compare his coaching from when he was with the New York Jets to what he received as far as coaching in San Francisco, in Minnesota, and now in Seattle, there's no doubt that is a night and day difference as far as the detail, the preparation, and what goes into it. Now the surrounding cast, the Johnnies and Joes. So hey, the X's and O's are different. Now let's talk about the Johnnies and Joes, right? When we go in Minnesota, he had some good Johnnies and Joes around him. He had Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson, of course, made that point recently of I had Sam Darnold. He knew what he was doing. He had confidence. He had been through it, had been burnt, and then recovered from it and improved. And it's just so important, your surrounding area. And I like to use this analogy, right, for young parents out there who are fathers and mothers, right, of young quarterbacks. You're only going to be able to, blossom, right, or thrive or sprout, right, as a player if you're planted in some soil, that it gives you that opportunity, And for Sam, it wasn't all his fault. He definitely didn't help it, but he didn't know what he didn't know.
Yeah.
Now, with all this experience, the talent that he has, the coaching staff, JSN, Cooper Kupp, guys like that, it's super impressive to see. And that's the thing, right? Just like with all of us, right? And all of our careers personally, you just got to keep going. If you really believe in yourself, right? Success isn't final. Failure it isn't fatal. It's the courage to continue to what matters, right? And he's displayed that.
And I think that's a big thing with Darnold's career because there'll be so many people who've been on a similar path to him, getting thrown out of the Jets, but removed from the Jets after 3 seasons. Back to his
big common denominator here.
You know what I mean?
The Jets.
I understand the Jets, of course. Like graveyard for quarterbacks' careers.
I played for the Jets. Yeah.
So. But in terms of, we see this a lot from a lot of quarterbacks going into the league, and there's people just looking and either after 2 or 3 seasons just assume that's it, they're going nowhere. but he has found the path. And I think as much as, yes, coaching has to take credit because he landed in the right place in San Francisco and Minnesota, as you were saying, there is a resilience there, and also an ability to not carry as much baggage as he needed to carry.
Yeah.
Learn from the scars, but don't keep the trauma behind you so you can actually push forward and be a pretty good quarterback we saw in Minnesota last year. Like, that was, people were sort of saying that was all Kevin O'Connell. We saw how good he could be in some of those matchups, especially against, remember the Sano game against that Texas defense last season. We were like, okay, this guy Sam Darnold's got something here. And he's shown it again this season.
I mean, we saw last year, and yes, you're right. That first initial reaction was like, wow, Kevin O'Connell is amazing. Look what he's doing with Sam Darnold. Take that same coach now with JJ McCarthy. Hey, it's been a little bit of struggle, right? It's a totally different team.
Yeah.
And it's the difference between, having a 500 type team to having 14 wins. And that just shows you what Sam Darnold's experience means, right, to the position, right, and the toughness that he shows, and the resilience, like, and grit, right. I feel like those are just key words to playing the game, playing the quarterback position, especially. And for him, this is where being a first-round draft pick ultimately helps you out, right? Yeah. When you're a first-round draft pick, you get a few more cracks, right? You get a few more swings at the baseball bat and get some opportunities at the plate, and he's done a great job of continuing to go back and to work and to get better. And it's a phenomenal story. And it's a great story, I think, for all of us to kind of reflect on too, of just, you can overcome some of the hardships that you experience.
Absolutely. Well, we talk about Sam Darnold. Of course, he was the 3rd overall pick in the 2018 draft, 3rd overall pick in the 2024 draft. He's currently playing quarterback for the New England Patriots and Drake May. Incredible how he's still only 23. He's not in a position he's in. You want to see the amount of cameras that was around him last night, the media event. He was like, it's the only person it felt like on the Patriots that people wanted to talk to was Drake May. Right. Everyone wanted a bit of him. At the same time, over the course of the season, people are talking about the MVP conversation, but the playoffs have been a little bit more of a struggle for his offense in general. They've had to play some pretty good defenses, but there's been turnovers. He's had to pick his moments, but it hasn't been as consistently strong as in other parts of the season. Give us your sense as to Drake May in terms of his ability to control a game, because we know that when the game is there and the scheme is good and his players are good, that a lot of really good things come from this offense. I think what a lot of people are, especially who are Patriots fans looking at this game, are wondering, can Drake May really take a game like this by the reins at a moment if he has to? If, let's say, for instance, he's to pull off a 10-point comeback in the 4th quarter against Seattle.
Well, I think both coaching staffs, right, even Seattle and even maybe more so in New England, just because Drake May is a second-year football player, is you don't want him to have to take the reins and to dominate and to be the one, right, that puts all of the pressure on him. You want to be able to obviously build a structure of your playbook, right, or your game plan that allows him to pick and choose his moments to where he can, right, step in and make that big-time play. So it's going to be curious to see, just like for Josh McDaniels or Clint Kubiak, how they manage the game early on, getting easy completions for their quarterbacks, especially because both secondaries are phenomenal in this game. I mean, that's something that we really need to highlight. Like, the star of the show really might be both defenses and which offense can just make the play or two they need to win it. But for Drake May, it's about just keeping it simple. We've learned from Drake, even with the struggles he's had in the playoffs, he's a football player.
Yeah.
Denver's a great example of that. Hurt the shoulder, banged up, tough conditions, all that. Did a great job of just using his legs, playing tough, playing situational football, making the scrambles that they need to. And ultimately, that's what you want to see again in the Super Bowl. Weather the storm early, because the emotions and the energy early on in the Super Bowl, it's real. Like, I've been on the sideline where I've seen that, where I was a part of the Falcons team that went up against the New England Patriots. Yeah. And, there's the first quarter of the game, there's the second quarter, and it does have like its own life. And you really do have to kind of withstand all of those highs and lows and try to stay as stoic as possible.
So you feel a Super Bowl, like, just give us a sense as to how much it has its own life in comparison to a regular season game.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Now, every regular season game kind of has like a 3-part story to it, right? In a Super Bowl, it's like it feels like it has 12, right? Because the halftime's a little longer. The lead up to it is a different thing too. Even the media thing, right? Like in opening night and all that. Like nobody wanted to be there.
That thing I was at last night is bizarre. I'm like, why are we subjecting professional athletes to this when people are coming in? Like it was. I mean, obviously I enjoyed it. It was great to get access, but I just feel
it's a zoo though. It's like, oh my God, there's Drake May. Don't touch. It's like, no, like come on, man. Like let them focus on what they need to do. And I think that's really the toughest task for the coaches and for the team is to go from like, yeah, we made it. But it's like, okay, now get back to like, it's back to football again, right? Narrow the focus, get back to what you're here to do. And that's to win a game. Because if you win it, I am a direct result of that. Yeah. My father was a Super Bowl MVP. And because of the way that he played, it totally changed how our whole family has lived, right? Mm-hmm. And that's how impactful this game is for not only yourself, but the other people that helped you get there in the first place. And it's unbelievable.
Does Phil like to get his Super Bowl rings out this time of year? Does show him off every February?
My father is so strange. Like my father has like his Super Bowl rings like in his sock drawer. You know what I mean? Like he's such a like old school, just like, yeah, like I literally like, I don't know what I was doing one day, but like I was in his closet, like just being a young kid, like just probably trying to steal like $5 from him to go like to the store to get some candy or something. And like I went in there and I was like, oh my God, there's a Super Bowl ring. This is awesome. And I was like, all right, I'm going to put this right back next to this sock that he has here. But, he's so low key like that. But yeah, I mean, that's something that, forever he's going to be introduced as Super Bowl champion and MVP, Phil Simms, and that's what can happen to these individuals after this weekend.
Well, listen, I don't want to keep you too long. I know other people really want to get a sense of your energy. The last thing I'm going to ask you, who's going to win Super Bowl 60?
Who is going to win the Super Bowl? This is a very tough game to pick. I am going to go and lean towards Seattle. I say Seattle wins. Would not be shocked if it's by less than 3 points in this one. I think that New England has the ability to make this game very ugly. I think both defenses will be able to dominate at times throughout this game. And really just going to go with the fact that I think Seattle is maybe just like a little bit of a better team overall. But it's going to be a close one. I can't wait for it.
Matt Sanders, since complete. It's been awesome talking to you, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for keeping me on the rails.
Thank you for listening to the Irish NFL Show. Stay tuned. We also have an interview with Hendon Hooker coming up right now.
Hey, another Tennessee guy.
I know, yeah. There we go.
We're all in. Ireland, I'm coming for you. Dublin, I'm making my way to you. All right.
Hello and welcome to the Irish NFL Show. My name is Shane Brennan. Thank you for joining us on Radio Row. I'm delighted to be joined by NFL quarterback currently with the New York Jets, Hendon Hooker, who is coming here from standtogether.org/NFL. Hendon, good to see you. I hope you're enjoying the weather here in San Francisco. It's a lot sunnier than I know it has been in other parts of the country.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. And it is very nice outside today.
I just want to start with a couple of parts of we'll talk about what you're doing with Stand Together in a minute, but I'm interested in just your perspective. Obviously, you originally come from North Carolina. Drake May is playing, obviously, is from that part of the country. Is there a sense of buzz about seeing somebody coming from North Carolina to going so far and to also be becoming quite a big star in the eyes of the NFL public?
Yeah, I've been watching Drake for a very long time, since he was in high school. I've had a couple of college teammates played with him in high school, and then him being at Carolina, got a chance to see him play a few times there. But yeah, it's always cool just to see someone from around where you're from and from the state of North Carolina, where it's predominantly basketball. We're a basketball state, so always bragging on the home team. Whenever we have a guy that's doing his thing.
And let's just go back on your career for a second, because you played in Virginia Tech and in Tennessee. When you made that transition from playing in ACC to playing in the SEC, did you notice a key difference to your playing quarterback between those two different college conferences?
Yes, definitely did. I remember the season before I got to Tennessee, I think I rushed for 9 touchdowns. I didn't rush for more than 5 at Tennessee. So,
yeah, you had to earn them in the SEC.
Oh, for sure. I felt like it was like NFL junior in a sense. So it was cool, playing in the SEC. I feel like it meant a little more a few years ago than it does now, since everyone can just move around, and it seems like every league is very strong.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to talk to you about what you're doing now with stand together, because I think what you're talking about is important in terms of the platform that NFL players are using, because there's a lot of people who look at sports stars and they look back and say, hey, stick to sports, you just do the throwing of the ball or whatever. But sports stars, NFL, college football are in a position where they can't really affect change. So what is it? How do you see the role of what players in the NFL or otherwise should be doing in terms of their own communities?
Yeah, I think it's just all about navigating in your specific lane, or a lane that you're interested in, that you can connect personally with. Stand Together gives you the kind of that roadmap of how to and when to. So it's a great tool for not just me, but other NFL players, to get out there and kind of have a voice with this NFL platform, like you said, have a voice in their community and kind of connect with their community face to face.
And is there somebody who maybe inspired you from past playing in the NFL or elsewhere, where you saw how they used their profile and made you want to be more active in the community side of things?
Yeah. Where I'm from, there are, several guys that play in the NFL, DJ Reader, Keenan Allen. But one of the biggest names that that kind of impacted me in that regard was Ricky Prohl. Played receiver for the Panthers and for the Rams for countless years. But Ricky Prohl would have a camp every year. And it used to just be like the highlight of my summer, for real. I used to go out there and just scrimmage and play football. And I just remember him always interacting with us, whether we were on the field or whether we were, going to get a snack. So that just always went a long way.
So talk to me then about the impact that camps like that, or football in general, has in underprivileged communities. I mean, I know that's something which you are passionate about, and it's something you're working on. I mean, do you think that more players in the NFL should really be focusing on actually the impact they could have in terms of bringing the sport there and the positivity that it could bring into areas that need that positive impact?
Yeah, I think that, everyone can just give back to the community, some type of way. It's bigger than football. Is how I look at it. It's about, building a connection with the community and with people in your city, whether that city that you're playing in or the city that you're from. Just trying to build that positive, and goodwill in the community.
So when you hear people sort of look at people who are using their platform and dismiss them as being somebody who's too mouthy or doesn't know what they're talking about, or is in a lane they should not be in, what is your reaction to them when they say, hey, you're a sports person, don't talk to me about the community or politics or whatever?
Yeah, I think, it's never an opportunity to turn down information, especially when it's positive. Like, you never know. You might give me some information that I can take and use for the next 20 years from just 3-4 words. You never know. So I think everyone should be heard, and everyone should definitely be looked at equally in terms of if someone's bringing a solution to a problem.
So just trying to, youth literacy programs is something you're also involved in. Is that a particular problem in different parts of the country? I guess for those of us in Ireland who aren't fully sure about sort of the problem of youth literacy across the United States, just explain to us about the I guess the impact that has in different communities and what the NFL and players in sports can do to help that.
Yeah, youth literacy, something that I'm extremely, just kind of not strict on, but I just lean on it heavily because I'm a true believer that the more you work the brain, the easier problem solving is, whether that be real life, whether it be classroom, whether that be, playing football. The brain is a muscle, so you want to work that out. Same way you want to, work out your body, like running laps around the track, or doing push-ups, just working that muscle, because I've seen how it can just enhance you in any direction you want to go into, and it's a powerful thing. So just trying to encourage these kids to read a little bit more, whether that be through playing football or anything else that they're interested in. I think that if you want to, get better at something, you have to work on it. So there's a lot of kids out here that aren't reading at a average grade level or above average grade level. So just trying to help those kids out and encourage them a little more.
And when you start to do these things, whether it's in activism or trying to be more involved in the community, and you're going to the league or clubs or anything like that, is it difficult to try and get them to listen or to get involved?
No, normally, they're pretty ecstatic of me being there. We have to stay away from some of the football questions, but just being around them and building that connection of face value, that's something that's huge to me. And it makes my day when I go in there and can dap some kids up, give them high fives, or give them a hug. Any way to bring a little more joy to their day as well.
Well, listen, it's great work you're doing. I wish more players were as active as possible when it comes to trying to make their communities better. I'm so glad you're doing it. Hendon Hooker, thank you very much for joining the Irish NFL Show.
Appreciate you.